Hello, Big Mike. Thank you for joining me for this webinar, The Non-Emergency Medical Transportation, a $1 billion business. How's everybody doing today? Are you excited? Yes. First, let me give you a backstory how I got started. In the beginning, what happened to me was my wife divorced me after 16 years, and she left. She took the kids, um, and I was heartbroken. I was devastated. Uh, it took me about 2 years to get over that. The first year, I thought I was over it, but then when I started dating again, I wasn't completely over it. Um, so I didn't heal completely. So that's how I got into the medical transportation business. One day I was on YouTube and I saw a video about business credit, and I wanted to do that. I said, well, let me see if I could do that. But I didn't even have a business. So I started a business. I created a website with Shopify. And at the time, Shopify, I was doing drop shipping for exercise equipment, um, where I was selling these big racks and the treadmills, the dumbbells, the weights, everything you needed to do exercise. Um, I was drop shipping it. And the problem was the guy was out of Ohio, but I didn't know he was getting the products from China. And they would have to go through China and go through the manufacturing factory part. They would have to make it. And then that took a couple of weeks. And then they would have to ship it with a cargo ship, which will have to go through customs and be inspected and everything. And then they will fly it in with an airplane, and and it will land like in Florida or Canada. And then they will call a tractor trailer company to come pick it up because they were on big pallets. And then the tractor trailer will have to drive it and deliver it to wherever the customer was, whatever state. And that took like a month, sometimes a month and a half. And the customers would call me because I was like the middleman, and they wanted a refund. Um, uh, so many headaches. And I would call the owner, and he kind of like brushed me off, and then tell me, "Oh, that's you gotta talk to the customer and reassure them, and that the package is coming or the product is coming." And after a while, he got pissed off with me, and he just stopped working with me. And so that model didn't really work out for me. The commission was good, um, but the problem was the model was not good. So then I went into Amazon. And then what I started doing on Amazon, I was buying video games for like $1,000, like 50 of them. And I had this one from Sony called God of War, which was very popular. The first time I put it on a platform, it's a buy box that rotates. And at the time, it was really saturated. Saturated. It was a lot of um, people selling that same video game, over 200 people at the time. And when I got the buy box, I sold all 50 like in 2 hours because the price was below what everybody else had. But I didn't know at the time that Amazon got a percentage of of the profits, and then I also had to pay the monthly uh, fee for the platform, and then I had to pay for the like the storage fees and everything. So I was still like the middleman. And then what happened? Sony came out with the brand new PlayStation 4 at the time, and that was included. That game, God of War, was already included as a digital download on that new PlayStation 4. So that kind of ruined my business there. But for a while, I did pretty good. And then I looked into doing private label, and that's what I was working on. And then one day, my brother came. He called me first, and he was like, "Oh, I went to Kinko's. I went to the library. I need a printer. You got a printer? Can I come use your printer?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like I'm thinking in the back of my head, who doesn't have a printer? You know. And well, he came to my house and he was telling me the story about his friend that works for a non-emergency medical transportation company, and he's just a driver. But he was talking about complaining that they exploiting him. He's working long hours. He's not really making good money, and he keeps asking questions because he started seeing the kind of money uh, the owner of the business had, because the owner of the business was kind of arrogant and a show off. And then whenever his wife came in with one of her girlfriends, he would pull out knots out of each pocket, and then he'll be like, "Oh, to all the workers here, go buy lunch for everybody," and But then my brother's friends started asking too many questions, and then after a while, they just fired him. But he never took action. But my brother did, because he kind of seen what was going on, and he was thinking about getting a job with them. And I think what he did, he went and applied and just sat there for a while, just to see what was going on. Anyway, he never took the job. What he did, he applied and got approved, and that's how I found out about it. And at the time, I was working at a hospital, and I was seeing the people, like the patients, waiting for the discharge, like the non-emergency medical transportation to come pick them up to take them home. And then I would watch like the wheelchair vans pick up the people, and like the regular sedans. Sometimes the ambulance would transport them if it was an emergency, and even a helicopter. Uh, when it was an emergency. Um, so yeah, but nobody would tell me anything. At the time, it was only 5 big companies on the discharge list, and they were doing like 3-hour shifts. I mean, they were doing like 3 shifts, like a A shift, a B shift, and a C shift. And one guy, he was making about 100,000 a month, easy, because he had all the contracts. So I was able to talk to him and pay him. I had to pay him, and a lot of money so he could show me the process. And he gave me the insight of how he was doing it, but more importantly, how he was getting all the contracts, because he had all the major contracts with all the hospitals, the clinics, the nursing homes. So yeah, what happened was with me, when I first started with the application, I didn't get approved right away because I made some errors in my application, and they sent it back. And when you're dealing with the state, it was a lot of red tape. They had to do like the background check. They had to make sure I wasn't, involved in any like medical fraud, um, things like that. And then they sent it back. I filled it out again, and then this time they did a penny test, and then they sent me a form saying that I needed another check because I put a starter check on there in the beginning, and that wasn't something they wanted. They wanted something with your business name and address on the check, so I had to redo that. And then they approved me. Once they approved me, they put like 50 trips in my queue. And at the time, I didn't know how to do the scheduling, so I only had one vehicle at the time, and there was no way I could do 50 trips in one week, starting out. And what happened was I had to redo the schedule and set it up like for the whole month. And then I did that, but then after that, I started having trouble with billing. I didn't know how to do billing. I didn't know how to get paid. So I reached out to this company, and they wanted $750 up front. Then they wanted 3 months in advance, and that was like $250 a month. And then I had to go through a 2 week training, and for the privilege of learning uh, the software, because they wasn't really doing my billing. I had to do my own billing, and that kind of got me heated. And but at the time, I didn't have no choice. I had to pay that large amount of money just to get started and do my billing so I could get paid. But when I first got paid, I got a $17,000 check for that month. And then after that, it was just consistent. Every 2 weeks, I was getting a check. So, in my opinion, this is the best business to start because it's a service business. You billing Medicaid or Medicare and Obamacare, and it's a service business. You're picking up the client or the patient, and you're taking them to their destination, to the hospital, the clinics, rehabs, wherever, and then you're picking them up and taking them back home. And they have so many appointments that you just go back and forth with the same people and you build your clientele. And then when I started having problems after that, I started having problems because my drivers will get paid and then they'll call me up with an excuse that they had trouble with their vehicle. It was wear and tear on their vehicle. Any excuse they could use not to come in the next day to do the trips. And so I talked to the guy who was at the time my mentor, and he told me to start with the independent contractors. And that worked out real well for me because once I got the independent contractors on board, we started doing the the 3 shifts, the AM, the afternoon, and then the PM. And that worked out really well for me. And I didn't really have no issues because I didn't have the liability. Um, and that's another issue with the insurance. I had to get insurance on my vehicles. And even before that, I had to start a business. I had to get an entity, the LLC, the C corporation, the S corporation, the partnerships, and I had to set that up because it was a DBA at the time, so I had to do that too. Uh, After that, I got into the business credit part because I only had one vehicle, so I had to pay someone to show me the different tiers and what vendors to use so I could get approved and get a trade line on my business credit. So now I got a perfect, excellent personal credit and also an excellent business credit. And when I first did it, I started getting different vendors. I would have to buy from them 2 or 3 times, some of them 4 times before I got the trade line. And I was doing what basically Walmart, what they do, they buy like the toilet paper and they use the customers to purchase the toilet paper to pay back the vendors. So they're using other people's money and they do that with all their stores and all their products. So I started doing the same thing. Um, they do it with the toilet paper, with the food. They get everything on credit. So this way they can leverage the credit and use other people's money. So I started doing the same thing, and I started getting the $30,000 pops, like the credit cards, 18,000, 11,000, because business has a bigger appetite than your personal credit. When you got business credit, it's a bigger, appetite. So they give you more money. Then I started getting like the fleet accounts where I could have up to 20 vehicles. And at that point, after that, once I got that, I started scaling up and branching out with the independent contractors and doing it, you know, other different states. And that's what I'm doing now. So I believe this company is the best company to have right now. It's been good to me now for the last 4 years. And what else? Let me talk about the medical brokers. You're going to have to get approved with the medical brokers, which is the state. Okay, because they're going to run the trips. They're going to give you all the people on Medicaid and Medicare. So that's what I could help you do that. And then you got workers' compensation. You got people who are at work who got injured, and that's like a whole different contract you could do. You got the federal contracts. You could get a federal contract, like a 5-year federal contract, and do all the transportation for them. And you could branch out to different states doing that. So sky's the limit. And then insurance, you're gonna need insurance, the right insurance, because I see a lot of people, they got the Progressive, they got Geico, but that's not really, if you get into an accident or one of your patients gets out the car and they trip or they fall, and they'll come and try to sue you. The the insurance, you're going to have a hard time with the insurance paying. They'll probably pay for the medical, but that's not the right insurance to use when you're doing medical transportation. And let me see what else. A lot of people got problems with insurance. Um, yeah, and then you got the nursing facilities, how to get a contract with nursing. If you have, let's say you have a wheelchair van, and let's say for instance, the patient is in hospice care and has to go, to the hospital. You're gonna need a nurse. In a lot of states, you're gonna need a nurse. So I'll hook you up with that. And then you got like dialysis centers, dialysis. Um, that's another contract that you could get. And then of course you got to do billing. Billing is a major problem for a lot of people when they get started because they don't know how to do billing. And the biggest problem I see, they pick up patients, but they don't verify whether that patient has Medicare, that Medicare is active, because a lot of people, they miss their appointments, and or they got to recertify, and they don't do it, and Medicare cuts them off. So you're doing trips and then billing it, but it's not going through because they're not active, so you're not going to get paid. So that's a big mistake. I had a guy who he was like backlogged almost 90 days. He was real close to 90 days, and that was the problem he was doing. He had a lot of people that he was picking them up and taking them to their appointments and everything, but they didn't even have Medicaid. And then he didn't know billing, so the people who were verified, he would take them to the appointment, but then he didn't do the billing, and everything got backed up, and it was closer to 90 days. After that 90 days, it's more difficult to get it from Medicaid or Medicare for them to pay it. So I was able to help him out so he could get paid. MPI, you're gonna need an MPI if you got a wheelchair van or ambulance, and that's an easy process. I can help you do that. So yeah, and then I got a secure party creditor, and that's a different video I'm gonna do later. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do now. ask you one thing. If it was one thing you could do to change your life, would you do it? Would you take action and do it and change your life forever? Um, right now, I'm gonna take some questions. So if you have a question, please raise your hand. And aren't you excited? Okay. First question. Raise your hand.